Now, I'm a bit of a Steam Deck Whoa.
Marker.
Now, I'm a bit of a Steam Deck enjoyer, as you know. I really love the Steam Deck. I think it's a fantastic product for a long-time PC gamer like myself. And I think if you're an entry-level PC gamer, or not a PC gamer at all, I think it's a great device to have. It's a great handheld gaming machine. It has a ton of options. It has a ridiculous library of games. You've got official releases, like on Steam and other storefronts. You've got emulation and all the emulators. You have all the functionality, basically, of a full-size PC in the palm of your hand. It's a great product. I absolutely recommend the Steam Deck. It's one of my favorite gaming hardware pieces I've ever had. And also, if you know me, you know I'm a bit of a certified Switch 2 hater. I think the Switch 2 is a complete scam of a device. I think it's underpowered for the asking price. I think the games are grossly overpriced. I think the fact that it's charging you for online access is ridiculous. I think the game library is completely insultingly small. The fact that Nintendo refuses to give their modern customers access to their legacy history, like unfiltered access to the games that made them successful in the first place, and yet they still go after emulation as legally as they possibly can, I think it's ridiculous. And then you have all the other nonsense that Switch 2's been pulling, like bricking people's systems for arbitrary reasons. Nintendo's insistence on being involved with every aspect of your interaction with their product after you've already bought it. But the thing that really burns my chicken the most about the Switch 2 is just how vitriolically people defend the thing. If you like the Switch 2, that's fine. If you like Nintendo, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't like them or you can't like the system. But the thing that people do, where they like the system or they like the brand, therefore everything the brand does and every criticism made of the system must be in bad faith, that's where I get annoyed. I don't know why I said that like Alan Cumming on The Traitors. I get annoyed when there's Switch 2 defenders in my mansion. And just the other day, or maybe it was longer than the other day ago, it's been on my backlog for a little bit. I have no semblance of time. This thread from the Switch 2 Reddit was sent to me by Kev. Everyone say thanks, Kev. But there's a whole thread on the Switch 2 subreddit basically just trying to dump on people who like the Steam Deck over the Switch. Like, Nintendo fans, we already knew this, but Nintendo fans are some of the most insecure people in the entire gaming community. If you even imply that there's a different handheld device that might fit your needs better than Nintendo's handheld device, they'll just lose their minds. Case in point, this thread says, why do people hate Nintendo and the Switch 2? I'm especially referring to Steam Deck fans, because every time I asked a question here on Reddit about whether Switch 1 games would get a Switch 2 update, I always got the same comments. Buy a Steam Deck, or sell your Switch 2 and buy a Steam Deck. Why? Why all the hate? The internet sucks. So, couple things wrong here. Oh, and thanks for bringing that up. Another reason why the Switch 2 sucks is you have to pay to access the hardware with the Switch 1 games. Like, you've paid for the hardware of the Switch 2 and you've paid for the Switch 1 games, but if you want the Switch 1 games running at their fullest on the Switch 2 hardware, you have to pay even more money. That's fucking absurd. Paid next-gen updates are such a scam. There's a reason why PC games don't have stuff like this. If the hardware is stronger, the game should just run better. Why is there a paywall on graphical settings? That is insane. Fuck every company that does paid next-gen updates. It's absurd. But let's just think about this. You ask a question on Reddit about whether Switch 1 games get a Switch 2 update, and you get the same comments of buy a Steam Deck, sell your Switch 2 and get a Steam Deck. First of all, I'm kind of questioning how this happened. You're saying that every time you ask that question, you're getting people telling you to get a Steam Deck? Like, every time? I'm kind of pressing X to doubt that. I think you might be conflating. But also, bigger point, you ask why all the hate? Because someone told you that you should get a Steam Deck instead of a Switch 2. Someone thinks that in your position, someone who likes Switch games and is obviously invested in this expensive piece of handheld tech being the Switch 2, they're saying that you should get a Steam Deck instead because they think it'll fit your needs as a gamer and as a consumer better. So, I ask again, how is that hate? How is that hate? By this logic, you yourself are hating on the Switch 1. Are Switch 1 games getting a Switch 2 update? Well, why isn't the Switch 1 version good enough for you? Well, I'm not hating, I'm just asking a question about a product that I'm going to be taking advantage of because I'm interested in it. Oh, interesting. People telling you that you should get a Steam Deck instead of a Switch 2, if they annoy you, ignore them. And if you think they're wrong, explain why. They're not hating on you because they think the Steam Deck is a better product than the Switch 2. But you made a thread about it on r/Switch2, And by golly, do people have a lot of mean things to say about people who have the Steam Deck. Because that's really all this comes down to. Nintendo fanboys are so insecure about the simple fact that the Steam Deck exists. Because here you have a handheld device with comparable power to the Switch 2, with way more features than the Switch 2. It is way cheaper than the Switch 2, both for the hardware and for all the games and for the online access. It is all cheap. Like, the Steam Deck is an infinitely cheaper system. It has a way bigger game library, both through official games and through emulation. And here you are having to justify getting the Switch 2 instead. And if you want to justify getting the Switch 2 instead, go for it. I'm happy to hear those points. But when presented with an opportunity to give those points, you call the entire conversation hateful. And I'm going to make fun of you guys for that because this is ridiculous. This is why people make fun of you, and more importantly, this is why Nintendo continues to take advantage of you. So we're going to read through this thread, and what you're going to find is a whole lot of people have a whole lot to say about how Switch 2 is better than the Steam Deck, or how you prefer the Switch 2 over the Steam Deck, and Steam Deck fanboys are toxic, and it's all toxicity and bad and pointless discourse. And no one is going to give a single legitimate reason why you should be on Nintendo. That's what I want you to keep in your brain here. You're going to hear a lot about how you shouldn't be on the Steam Deck and how you shouldn't listen to people who like the Steam Deck, but you're not going to hear a whole lot, if any, of here's why Nintendo is good. Not even good, just better than the Steam Deck. You're not going to hear, like, any of that. So let's begin. Sterilite says, every gamer I meet that doesn't like Nintendo stuff seems to make it their personal mission to make me hate it too. Something about them profoundly making kid-friendly games that don't focus on graphics/performance is completely antithetical to a lot of gamers, especially PC players' sense of what gaming is. Right, yeah, no, totally. The only reason we don't like Nintendo and the only reason we try to, spread the word about products that give you what Nintendo gives you but better, only reason we do that is because they make kid-friendly games. It's the only reason we do that, is because there's kid-friendly games, and we're just, we're angry about how there's kid-friendly games out there. Oh, no, sorry. Games don't focus on graphics and performance. That's completely antithetical to PC gamers, even though PC gamers are usually the first ones to tell you that you don't have to play games on the highest graphical settings, and that the focus on graphics is what's making games run like shit. So, not sure where you're getting that. But also, wasn't it the Switch fanboys who were talking about how great the Switch 2 is going to run games leading up to the release? Like, weren't the Switch 2 guys all like, man, Switch 2's going to run games great. Switch 2's going to run games better than the Steam Deck. You better not get a Steam Deck if you care about game performance. And now the Switch 2 is out, and you're like, man, why do you guys care about game performance? It's like, huh? You were literally trying to sell people on that. Who gives a shit if they make kid-friendly games? Who gives a shit if they don't make games with the greatest graphics and performance? Those are two arguments I have literally never heard levied against Nintendo by PC players. Like, I've never heard PC players levy those criticisms against Nintendo. There's other criticisms we levy against Nintendo, and if you actually paid attention, you would hear them very clearly. We don't like that they're overpriced. We don't like how aggressively they don't want their own history preserved. We don't like how they attack their own consumers if their consumers step 1 inch out of line of the mandated fun lines that they give you when you buy the Switch 2. Here's the rules of how to have fun. You better not have fun in any way other than those, or we're gonna come the fuck down on you. But no, it's all about kid-friendly games and, graphics and performance. That's all we care about on the PC. That's the only reason we criticize Nintendo. Like, really? Gothic Pittsburgh guy says every community has neckbeards hanging around that have nothing better to do. For example, Xbox people hanging out on PS5 promoting Game Pass 24/7. PC players specifically are like Jehovah's Witnesses. They will bother you daily. They love to hang out on console subs more than their own sub. Grifters are neckbeards. Not all are grifters, but the others are painfully unaware and awkward. PS5 question, a PC solution is answered, and they don't understand why that doesn't apply to you. It's disgusting. Again, notice how there's literally no justification of why you should have a Steam Deck. Or, excuse me, why you should have a... Jesus Christ. Like, this whole thread started when OP was like, why did people like the Steam Deck over the Switch 2? Why are people telling me to get a Steam Deck over Switch 2? And you're just like, yeah, people who try to convince other people of the thing they like is better. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. If you're having a good experience with the thing that you like, and you're trying to tell people about the thing that you like, and try to convince people to come over to your side instead of where they are because you don't think that they're getting the most out of their hobby on the place that they like, and they could get more out of it from the place that you like, grifter neckbeard is what you are. Jehovah's Witness is what you are. But for the love of God, don't ask me why I actually like Nintendo in the first place. I don't even fucking know anymore. I just know I'm not supposed to like anything else because Nintendo said so. 94 Auroreo says views, likes, karma, whatever else fake internet points. It's the only reason we do it. Only reason we try to tell people that PC gaming is good. Only reason we tell people Steam Deck is a better purchase than the Switch. Only reason we do that is for views and likes and karma. It's not because we genuinely care about games and we genuinely think you'd have a good time with the product. Like, you do realize I can dismiss this entire subreddit with this argument, right? If I ask you why you like the Switch 2 and you start explaining it to me, and then I'm like, stop, you're just doing it for clout. Like, what? Sprocket says, good luck playing all those Nintendo Switch 2 games on your Steam Deck. The entire reason to get a Switch 2 is for the games unique to the Switch and the Switch 2. And no, the Steam Deck isn't emulating any of that at any level of acceptable performance. Anyone who says so is an idiot. Okay, well, here's Switch 1 emulation running perfectly fine on the Steam Deck. Switch 2 emulation is just a matter of time, and because people on the Steam Deck are PC gamers, they generally have some level of patience and are not really affected by AAA exclusive hype culture, as Sony and Microsoft have come to find out. So we have no problem just waiting until we get access to the Switch 2 games on the Steam Deck, if that's really what matters to us. I mean, I personally don't really care about basically any Switch games, but you seem to be fundamentally missing the point of the PC in the first place. It's about doing what you want. It's about having options. It's about being disconnected from AAA hype culture and the whole really just AAA exclusive mindset as a whole. We really just don't care about that. Like this, so this is such a non-issue. Good luck playing the Switch 2 games on your Steam Deck. I mean, thanks. Give it a year and we'll have them. And in the meantime, we have a bajillion games to play while we're waiting. If it's really what's so important to us, we genuinely, for a pretty large percentage of us, we just don't care. And have you ever considered the fact that if the only reason you're buying a Switch 2 is for games that Nintendo's holding hostage, if that's the only appeal of the system, it's the only tick it has against the Steam Deck, maybe that's not a great reason to get a Switch 2. Maybe that corporation is taking advantage of you. Bound and Variant says, because they're broke. We're broke is why. We're not going to give hundreds of dollars to a corporation that actively does not like us. Yeah, no, it's because we're broke. If, all of us. PC gaming's too expensive, but also PC gamers are broke. This person says, because they're jealous, bitter idiots who don't want to see anyone having fun in a way other than theirs. Pay them no mind. So, wait, hang on. OP made a whole thread about people who like the Steam Deck and are trying to convince me to get a Steam Deck, saying that they're all haters. Steam Deck players are haters. And you're like, man, Steam Deck players are just jealous and bitter. It's like, huh? What? When did the flip happen? Hang on. How did this thread start? Think about why you're even in this thread and reconsider what you said. Because I don't think the Steam Deck players are the jealous, bitter ones here. Skywalker TC says, because it got popular. Yeah, we just hate it because it's popular. I mean, the PC has the biggest gaming ecosystem on the planet, but no, we're mad at the Switch 2 because it got popular. That's the only reason. There's no legitimate criticisms to be raised against Nintendo or legitimate positive comparisons to be made in favor of the Steam Deck. We're just mad because it's popular. Oh. Okay. Lovestick says it's probably the age-old my console is better than yours rubbish. The Steam Deck is not a console, that's the whole point. If you're happy with your console, then who cares what anyone else thinks? At the end of the day, they're just opinions. Aww. That's the biggest problem with Nintendo's entire fan base. Look at it. There it is. If you're happy with it, then who cares? Well, when you're just happy with it and not criticizing anything or not trying to have any kind of competition or any kind of better options, what you end up with are $80 games, are cartridges with download codes on them, and a corporation who will put their entire foot down your throat if you step out of line with the product that is already paid for in your house. And God forbid people who care about gaming as a whole, not just Nintendo gaming as a whole, as an art form, as an ecosystem, we don't really think that's a good thing. So just like, I get that your own subreddit, like I get that the subreddit of your own community is going to be biased towards your own community. That's inevitable. That's not a big deal. That's not what I'm annoyed about. What I'm annoyed about is the conflation of every single person who likes something that you don't like as a hater. Labeling those people as haters when those people have perfectly legitimate grievances against the thing that you like. What I take issue with is you labeling everyone as a hater when there are completely legitimate and objectively shitty things being done by the maker of your product. And that's why Nintendo fanboys are so funny. They're just so painfully and hard-headedly oblivious. It's not just that they don't understand what's happening, it's that they actively do not want to know what's happening. So, fucking bollocks to him. Alright, Doofus Club. Gaming with Dead People, Biscuit 111, Vendetta Archery, Max Killer V2 Gaming, Celerot, Muskie, Kyle Ward 789, Ed Omega, Big Fudge, Devastator 2000, Slab Squat Thrust, One Man Savage, I'd beat you with a fucking pistol, Grip Wings of Redemption, Klepto Penguin, Jojo 6, Axel Liam, Moltheme, The Beast Sims, Evan Co, Really Zerg, Oracle, Return of the King, what is upside down, Pedro Pascal's left hand, Nate, Blast 1314, Gabber Gnome 347, Hardcore, Harmon makes my wife dry, ooh woo, Michael Musial, Master Killer, Firestorm 2056, Demetrius Papagiorno, Tom Snorlax, and Public Butter. I almost said pubic butter. It would have been bad if I said that, right, chat? Unknown 186718, Kev Dog 1992, Zombie Killer 5072, Official Drex, Commander Shepard's Alien Juice Stained Pubic Hair, Bear Brain, Ipion 504, Grimsy, Edge, Shadow Bearer 1789, Espresso 100, Kishka, Unicorn Rocco, Bender Fondue, oh gosh, bibbidi bobbida bing. I hope your family dies in an what the fuck? I hope your family dies in an automobile wreck. Wings. Shit. I love that this chat is just turning into a fucking old meme dispository. I love it. T-Train, Risinger, Sense Nakage, and Nonvala. I lied. I didn't forget to change my name. Partial Mean 8, Volksalto, Acadman 4372WX. I need a stupid name for Joe to read out loud for everyone to see. Gold Pirate, Alderoth 1. I present my human shit for a plate on you, Lord Joe. Duggsy, smile. Snake Eyes 327. Joe, why would you leave us? We miss you, sexy man. MK32396E. And to the eye. Next Mog and Gamma, Elite Fire Hazard 105. GWXSS, Wrath the Wolf. Okay, Toodles, Tech Gaming, Jungle Zone, Some Gym. All in this video. Joe trapped me in the moat. Please help. The moat is not deep. The moat is not deep. Get up, walk out. Joe from Anthicon, Paul Brock of the Bat King, Jessica Shepard, Ricky Spell, Ricky Gadabby. The true moat were the friends we made along the way. Right? See? Kermit the Steel Angel. I'm banning anybody giving me advice, real talk. Get in the moat. Get in there. That's the advice. Sergeant Jason Bond, Baron Von Potter, Hom Cyrus 6771. Don't call me a doofus. It hurts my feelings. Shoot text in 940. You haven't helped him out of the moat, and you are laughing, Joe. Ha ha ha. The first doofus, Creed Warrior 23, Max Chev, the chap is back. Hooray! Totally insane. Even Black Cobra, the Anwar Slayer, Light Up Cypher, ML04, Iron 6 Copies, Clip 2006 on Blu-ray, Wolf of Midnight, Sig Rider, Pig Venus, Steven Studios, Film McGracken, Ohm Gaming, Tariq Brown, Thornscan, Maganeck, Severn, Evans, which is spawning in 03. It's the Carolina Fricker Wimax, Pow Pow, White Trouble, Donnie Weston, Nick Donnigan, Draws Max on Twitch, come hang y'all. Gob Godson, Rogue Winter 919, Bobby Henry, Kenny Getting Fanny, Hangman for Hire, Elden Noble, Frost Crystal, Biogenesis, Ian Action, Floppy Pingus 97, Mega Key, Strappy Sco, Ghost Ho, Ryusagi, Vasco, Raptor Tim, On This Stuff 94, Blue Hook, Film a Tip, I'm a Gooner, Go Cry About It, Jody Breeze, Smitty Burger, Yoga Man Jensen, the Chillizard named Max Lore, McAdvertisement, Diego Garcia, JJ Jesse, Eli Kibikins, Iron Rican Idiot, Harmon Smith at the Gen, Ono Justin, Rand, Rui Twin, Wayne, Extreme Wolf 7, Joey Scoops, Negative Creep, Joe Taku, Poop P, Bang, Cat, Chicken Sucker Mom, Banger 182, Wannabe Hobo, Jidge, Westa, Bill 310 Shard, Rob Z, Veg, Grooveman, and Occurred, Now Inspect, Scrum Master, I think I'm having a Joke, Joodles. Man.
Chocolate. I remember when they first invented...
Okay, Toodles.